just kind of move on to really the whole deal is how to submit a loan to the ODVA. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about. And we're going to do a little high-level overview with regards to some of the TRID and why we've arrived at some of the decisions that we have. So first of all, the definition of an application is changing. With the question, what is an application? What triggers an application and requires us to provide a loan estimate? And there are 6 data elements involved in what triggers a loan estimate to be issued. And that, of course, you guys know the consumer's name, the consumer's income, the consumer's social security number, the property address, an estimate of the value of the property, and the mortgage loan amount sought. So the way that we look at things basically is that the loan estimate, the LE, must be delivered or placed in the mail to the consumer 3 days after the date of the application. And so as we were considering this, we felt it was necessary for us as the creditor, ODVA as the creditor, to issue that LE the way the regulations are written. We're the ones that have the greatest responsibility for the compliance. But the problem occurred, and one of the examples I typically use is that if a loan officer, one of our broker partners, say in Klamath Falls, Oregon, started an application, we didn't really know when that happened. And under the way that loans are submitted today, by the time we typically get that file, we'd be way out of compliance. In the old days, we still would redisclose, but because of the 3rd business day rule from the date of the application, we needed to come up with a better way to manage that. So the second thing that's important here is the creditor, again, which is us, must ensure that the consumer receives the LE no later than 4 business days prior to consummation. So the consumer must have that LE in their hands at least 4 days before they can close on the loan. And so because of the delivery of the 3-day requirement and then the 4 additional days, that the loan estimate needs to basically be out a total of 7 days before we can start consummation. And then again, the requirement is that the creditor is generally required to ensure that the consumer receives the closing disclosure no later than 3 business days before consummation. So obviously the biggest impact that we will see in this is that we no longer are going to be able to get a file on a Monday and kind of expect to close by Friday. And especially, I found this chart here that's out on the ALTA website that talks about the 3-day closing disclosure rule. The top line there, let's assume today is Monday, so we were destined to close on Monday. That meant the disclosures had to be in the hands of the consumer by the preceding Thursday, which would require our ODVA to be mailing out those disclosures a week ago. So those are the required disclosure rules before we can even consummate a loan. So I guess the main thing is one, we need to set expectations that those quick closings that we've become accustomed to are no longer going to be available. And so as you guys out in the field working with your real estate group, your real estate agents, I'm not aware what kind of training or understanding or even information they may have out there in the real estate agent world. So it's up to you guys to make sure that they're setting those expectations. One of the things, of course, is I say that we're probably done with 30-day closings, that they should be writing the sales agreement for about a 45-day close to make sure that these disclosures are out properly within the allowable time frames. So what we've tried to do here in trying to talk about how are we going to manage the 3-day disclosure for the LE, and then again to work with the escrow on trying to get the closing disclosure out, we have found a product that we are using that we call PACE. It is our solution. It's our collaboration tool. It's an online tool that will allow us as the lender to collaborate with you guys as the originator, and then also to collaborate with the settlement agent when the time comes for the drawing of the documents and out to closing. It also allows us to have full control of the loan estimate and the closing disclosure. So we will be, again, in control of that, but we are going to be heavily reliant on you guys as the broker out in the field right from the beginning to make sure that the information that we have becomes available to us. Now, again, some of these graphics here basically kind of talk about how it's designed for us to maintain control. The figures for the loan estimate are entered by those in the origination side of things, you as the broker, perhaps your processor out in the field. The closing figures for the CD are entered by the settlement agent, so we will be collaborating with them. We become aware of who they are because of the information that you as the originator input into the PACE system when you're providing us that upfront information. And then we're all alerted. It's got an automatic alert system so that everybody knows when those documents are ready. It allows us to approve and then you guys to approve any changes that we have before any of the documents go out to the consumer, and everybody is aware when they are ready to go out. So this is what the PACE website looks like, and one of the things I want to basically say right up front is that when you get into this, you know, when I sent out the invitation to attend this webinar and put a link into kind of a dummy practice site out there, you'll go in there and you'll see that there is a whole lot of information in there that the system makes a request. Again, we've aligned ourselves. Our system of record, our LOS system, is offered to us by Calyx. Calyx is the vendor that we've chosen on this particular product. But from our point of view, it asks for a whole lot more than really is necessary for us to issue the loan estimate. In fact, I think what's going on is that in the PACE, as Calyx has been programming this PACE, they're trying to get to a point that it will allow us to interface for the information you input into PACE to interface with our LOS system, which is the Calyx point system. As of now, there is no interface allowed from your system into PACE or from PACE into our system. So this is a program that's ongoing. It's receiving some enhancements. From our understanding, there's some more things coming on later on in the month of October that we'll make sure that we roll out and give that information to you. As we go through here, one of the things I wanted to talk about is that, again, as you see some of this, there is a lot of information that looks like it's being required, but we're not going to require you guys to totally input a brand new loan after you've already completed that in your own LOS system. So let me go back a page here real quickly. Whoops, went the wrong way. So that's the login page with my login information there. That's what it looks like. And later on in this presentation, there's the website that we'll give to you and some instructions on how to get your access credentials to this. And so once you log in, the opening page that it brings you to looks like this. And we have basically some mock files in there that we've been looking at and trying to get used to the system ourselves. Again, we've had it for probably, about 30 days? Is that what it is? Maybe not that long, but they've been doing some changes, and so we're really ourselves getting a better understanding of what this is all about. So once you log in and you have a new loan that you're ready to input, over there on the upper right-hand corner is the new loan button where you'll hit that to enter in your new loan. And so this is the first page that comes up when you enter that new loan. And you'll notice some important things, and hopefully you guys can see my mouse here, is that there's 4 tabs across the top here that talk about this particular loan that is the new loan you're just setting up. So you've got the status button here, you've got the application tab, the closing tab, and the documents tab. So the status tab, again, is the first one, and it talks about tracking. So once you get to this point here, as you can see, we're still kind of figuring some things out. The first thing you do is you would click on the application tab. That's going to take you over to, that's the first time I've seen this here on the big screen. So the areas that are highlighted in yellow are the areas that we would need in order to complete a good loan estimate. So there's a lot of things, and as you guys get into the real side or you get into the dummy side, there's a lot of areas in there actually below this screen that are not necessary for us to get a good loan estimate out. But it's basically tell us about who the homeowner is, tell us about who the borrower is, you know, their name, their social, date of birth, marital status. Basically very much mimics the 6 data elements that we need in order to trigger an application. Again, as you'll notice, we're still in the application tab right here. And then once you're done with that, there is the loan tab over there. You can see this is all the information pertaining to the type of loan that this particular borrower is applying for. Couple things here, again, on the application date. If today's the application date, by just clicking on this box here, it'll auto-populate today's date. The loan program scenario is something we're still working in the back office. We got about a week before we have to have everything set up there. But then the standard loan types are going to be there. And I'm going to go through a little bit of a loan that I input earlier today just to kind of show you what some of these drop-down boxes look like. Nice little feature over here. Once you have your sales price, you can hit the calculation button. In fact, I think the next slide shows you what happens. Oh, this is down a little bit further on that same screen when there's private mortgage insurance involved. So those are kind of the areas we need in order to make sure that we have the proper MI information there. So once you hit this calculate button here that was back on this screen, this little pop-up box is there, and you simply are able to type in the percentage down payment, whether that be in this case 20% down, hit the calculate, and it will auto-populate everything else that is necessary for us to get out the LE that pertains to the type of loan that this particular borrower is applying for. I'm going to take a quick peek here and see if I've got any questions that you guys might have. Okay, looks good so far. All right, moving right along as we work down the loan here. Again, this is what it looks like after you fill out that information: the app date, conventional purchase, property's primary, and all the liens, and then of course the loan amount as it's calculated by hitting the calculation button there. So I input a loan today. We're going to show it a little bit later. It took me about 7 minutes to go through the necessary ones. And you guys are much, much better at that than I am. So the next page is tell us about the property. Again, we're working down this column over here, staying in the application tab. Tell us about the property. That's one of the 6 data elements: address, date, you know, all the things associated with this particular property. And none of this stuff is really going to be real new to you guys, just simply because this is, in a lot of ways, just what you're doing every day anyway. Obviously, fees are important to us as far as what the fees you are charging. We don't have many fees, as you guys are aware of. And so the fees that the services the borrower can't shop for and the ones they can shop for are important to us. Those are basically information we don't know on our end of things. And so we're going to be heavily reliant on you guys to input that information. Again, very important information for an accurate loan estimate as we start moving into that. I've got circled over here the add buttons, because once you hit the add button, it is going to pop up another screen. I think I'll show you the next screen here real quickly. And one thing I remembered on this slide here is the save button, because it's very important, and each screen will have that save button as you guys go through the inputting in the pace. It's just advisable to save it as you move from one page to the other. So, and again, here's the ad services. In this example here, it's save ad services borrowers can't shop for. Again, very much things that you guys already know. I highlighted here the save and new. So if you hit save and new, it'll pop up another blank screen for any other services that the borrower can't shop for, or even in the screen of services borrower can shop for. And this just scrolls on down the screen a little bit more. Again, just some arrows there pointing out to the other taxes and government fees, prepaids, initial closing. Again, fees that we need for you guys to supply to us in order to get an accurate LE out to the consumer. Estimated cash to close. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these because I think that you guys probably have an idea about what we're looking for here. And just for those who are asking, yeah, we'll be able to get a copy of this presentation out to you guys should you want one. Again, another pop-up screen by hitting one of the one add buttons here. So this is the add button here that would pop up this screen. And then finally getting to the LE. Much of the LE stuff is fairly grayed out because it's populating information, what's coming over from the information that was added on the previous pages. Now, I've had a couple of preliminary questions as we've got closer to the October 3rd date, is that since ODVA is going to be sending out the LE, would you guys have the ability to keep copies for your own compliance? And one of the things that this system does allow for is a storage of the documents. And so in this particular page here, you'll see, again, up at the document tab here, we've got the 4 tabs going across the top. Up in the document tab, there is the ability to save documents, and we'll actually be able to store those. Now, once we have stored those, we've approved them, and all the numbers are set, it becomes locked out for any additional changes. There is always the ability for you guys to go in on a read-only basis and review those, print those out for your own file, but there becomes a point in time when they are locked out for no further changes allowed. And you can see over here the library. This is the library. We would store it by hitting this button here, and then the storage of where to access them is over here. It's kind of like a library to get to there. Now I want to go back to the status screen because there's another part of here that's real important. We talked about the status. I didn't spend a lot of time on this presentation about the conversation log, but in the conversation log is the ability where you guys can basically tell us nuances that we need to know about the particular file. And I know as these particular files get input and every file has a bit of uniqueness to it, that Kathy and Vonell, who are our coordinators here, appreciate any information that you guys can send along with that file when you're starting the submission process. Assuming there probably is going to be some back and forth as we're going through the process of correcting the and making any sort of adjustments necessary to the LE, this is an area where the conversation will take place on this is what I see, this is what I need, and so just some information and structuring on how the LE will be when it's finally ready for distribution. The contacts information is important because, again, we don't know who else is involved in the transaction, mostly with regards to the escrow officer. Now, one of the things that still needs to be updated on our system here is that we're not able to pre-populate us as a contact as a lender. And so we're going to ask you guys, at least initially till that gets corrected, is to make sure that our contact as a lender with our submission email address included in there, which is still the same email address that you submit loans to us right now, submissions@odva.state.or.us. And real important, you click this notification box here, because when you email us or instruct us that we've got a loan application started, we need you to approve the LE. By including this information in here is how the email is going to come across to us that you guys have initiated the application. So that's very important. And then again, there's a save and new down here, because you'll also need to tell us who the escrow officer is. And we'll look at that just a little bit here as I get into kind of the live site. So once all the contacts, once all the information is included, this status option here will tell us, and this is how the date and time fields are stamped. This will how we communicate back and forth. Again, it makes a little bit more sense. Well, the next screen will make a little bit more sense. So once you hit that add button, you as the originator will hit this drop-down box that says lender to approve, and then basically save and close it. And provided that the contact information has been completed on a previous screen, our folks will get an email indicating that you guys have initiated the application, and we need to review that application as submitted through the pay system so we can make sure that everything's on track to get that LE out to the consumer within 3 days. I'm not going to spend a lot of time again as we go into the closing function here. This again is a very similar type pattern. One of the things I like to point out, of course, is that our folks will be including, based on the closing date, the first payment date and the close date. But provided that all the information, when that final LE and the worksheet is completed, all we really have to do is push this copy from the initial LE fee worksheet, and it will auto-populate, basically pulling those over from the original LE. And it's at this time here that we'll be in communication with the settlement agent with regards to making sure that all those other information is accurate. So again, this is the agent contact information to make sure. The other thing that's real important again is when you guys will be putting your information in here as far as contacts go. So essentially you'll have us, the settlement agent, and yourself. And so it's important that you guys monitor your email when you got a file going on during this 3-day period, to monitor your own email for the notifications that are going back and forth on the viability and discussion collaboration on the LE. Okay? So let me take a look again, see if there's any questions that you guys may have. All right, there are a few questions. Why don't we, at this point, I want to go into the live site in just a second. So let's see what we have and see if we can answer any of these questions. Hopefully you guys are all hearing now. Okay, awesome. Yes, we'll give a copy. The question was, can we have a copy of your PowerPoint? Yes, we'll do that. Are you going to have the terms highlighted that we need to fill in? Yep, I think items. I think we've done that. Will there be something in the system telling us just what info is required? Well, the main thing is the info that we're going to need input is what I've highlighted on this presentation. So I guess the information that you're going to need is a copy of this information. So, and the big question we're getting a couple times is, if we use Calyx also, is there any way that we can just import this information? Or can we upload a 3.2 into the Calyx point system? Unfortunately, not yet. We're hoping that they can do that, and but that's something that's not available quite yet. The next question, who does the intent to proceed? ODVA will be issuing that intent to proceed. We'll talk a little bit some of the other documents and disclosures that ODVA will be issuing in a little bit. Good call, Mike. We do need the ducks to get going. Unfortunately, there is no upload feature. There's a good question about transactional settlement statement. There is no upload feature in the PACE. But obviously, if an escrow officer wanted to email something to us, to that settlement address, and tie it to a specific file, anything to make that work correctly, we're always open to do that. And the final question to bring you up to, when will we know or has signed so we can order the appraisal? That's a good question. Let's put the heads together. We'll be right back. Okay, a couple things is that basically when you will know when the borrower signed the LE. Again, there's two ways to look at that. One is the 3-day mailbox rule, okay, is one way to look at that. So once we inform you via the conversation log that has been sent out, and again, the other disclosures that go along with that, the 3-day mailbox rule can apply, but we will also advise you in the conversation log when that does get sent out. As far as there's a question, is the way we fill out our compensation still the same as now? No, that's going to change a little bit as well, and we don't quite have the answer on this presentation right now. So what I want to do is I want to go into the PACE system. And again, this is the same dummy system that you guys, that when you got the invitation, when you registered for the webinar, there was a link or there was also some information on how to access this. So hopefully you've had a chance to play with it. If not, you can play with it at some point during the course of the week. And because nothing on this is live, you guys can go in there and, basically play with whatever you want. You can input a file. You can play with, some of the other drop-down boxes and some of the conversation logs and anything in there, because, you can't break it. None of it is real. So it's more for educational and just practice. So we're going to go in here and basically kind of go through some of the information that I was able to input in, again, 7 to 10 minutes this morning. Oh, I love it when this happens. Let's just try this again here. Hang on just a sec. There we go. So this is, again, as we looked into the previous slides that we looked at on the PowerPoint presentation, this is kind of the opening screen that would show your pipeline with us for loans that you've submitted to us. So the one I did this morning was this particular one here, so let's take a look at it and just kind of go through some of the screens as we've seen before. Again, this is the new file here. The status is still new. We haven't really got a description here. This would be where your name would be, and again, there's a date and a time stamp on this particular file. So again, just the front page, and the next stage, of course, is hitting the application here. And you know what I do basically, and you guys probably do is the same, is I have the left hand on the tab key and able to type, because it just kind of scrolls between all these fields here with the tab key, and you can actually make it move pretty quickly that way. Since by this point in time you've already done this on your regular LOS system, you're probably fairly familiar with who this borrower is. Again, just looking at some of the drop-down boxes here, because there's a number of different methods for how you've taken the application. Does anybody take applications face-to-face anymore? Again, here's the signature date, your signature date, drop-down box, completed not jointly. In this particular one, it's just an individual single borrower. Just input the names, age, marital status, years of school, just like normal. Again, these things should all match up with the highlighted on the screens that we looked at a little bit earlier. We like the email address, so if you're able to get the email address and put that in there, that's very important to us. It may prove beneficial later on in this process. But as you can see, as I scroll down to the rest of this stuff, again, I added in its present mailing address, because that's where the LE is going to go out to. And then again, how the title holder is, and just a lot of these things are not necessary in order to produce a loan estimate. So I am telling you that that is not necessary for you to fill in. Again, hit the little save button up here. Move along to the loan. Again, application date will move over. Again, since we only do conventional loans, purchase transactions, again, there's a lot of information here that we don't need, but again, just the basic ones. Let me hit this calculation button here, and again, it'll pop up that. We'll put the 20% down. In fact, on this one here, just to change it, we'll put 25% down, and all these numbers over here will change automatically once I hit the calculate button. If there's private mortgage insurance, again, these are the standard numbers that you guys are already familiar with. And as you probably are well aware, the grayed out numbers you can't populate, only the ones that are allow you to. So the grayed ones are either not necessary or they will auto-populate. ODVA does not do interest rate adjustments, no payment adjustments, no buy downs. Basically, this is pretty vanilla on information that you guys are very familiar with our program on. Looking at the property here, again, just made up some addresses here. Again, some drop-down boxes. Ours is always going to be O, Oregon, so you can either type in OR or hit the drop-down. Detached property, conventional construction, site built, again, standard stuff. Title. Pretty normal stuff, just again, giving us the information. The initial fees worksheet are things you guys are already familiar with. I'm not going to spend much time on that. Estimated cash to close. Again, without all the fees in there, it's not going to really give us the whole amount there. Here's the down payment funds type, typical ones on your details of purchase. Pretty standard things here. And then if we had all the numbers in there, we'd produce the loan estimate. A lot of the things are grayed out because they carry over from the fees worksheet and the estimated cash to close. Make sure we save. And we can click into the documents here. And this particular one's not set up totally, but I think you guys get the general idea of what this is going to look like. So let me take a second here and see if there's any questions that generated there. Okay. Okay, there's a good question here. It says, so after inputting the info into PACE, everything you need, the supporting documentation, such as the pay stubs, assets, all that other stuff, you will still need to upload it with the submission form. And that is correct. Again, the PACE program sole purpose is for us to use as a collaboration tool for the loan estimate and the closing disclosure. All the other information in the submission to ODVA will essentially remain the same. So your Fannie Mae 3.2, the additional supporting documentation still will be submitted to us via the email submissions@odva.state.or.us. So none of that process is really changing. The only process that is, again, in addition, has to do with getting the information we need right up front, right at the point of application, so that we can get the LE out within the 3-day compliance guideline. ODVA has made a decision that we're going to mail out the disclosure. So not only the LE, but all the other disclosures, and we'll look at those here in a little bit about which ones we'll be mailing out and providing. So now, if you don't have the legal description at the time of application, that's not actually necessary for the distribution and completion of the LE. So if you don't know it, that's fine. Hopefully you have a property address. Again, that's one of the key 6 data elements. But if you don't have the legal, then that's fine. And this is not effective actually for ODVA until October 5th, because our offices are closed on the 3rd. And so, and again, these are phone-only applications that are originated. So if you originate an application on the 3rd, you essentially can log in and start this information. We're not going to be able to pick anything up till the 5th, but any application that you guys complete between today and Friday is still under the old system. So this all becomes effective on Saturday, essentially Friday for us.
Monday for us?
What's that?
The 5th Monday.
5th Monday for us. Yeah, and all the other normal forms are all part of the submission. So there's no real change in any of the formats, other than on our website Monday morning. Our goal is to have both sets of forms on the website available for you guys. So, oftentimes as we're getting files in under today's system, you guys could originate a file today and we won't see anything other than maybe a lock request for 2 or 3 weeks. So if you originated one today, they still would be under the old forms, and so you still would need access to those forms. And I think we've kind of decided, for all intents and purposes, we'll keep those active on the website at least through the month of October. And we still will have those available for those ones that were originated but not back to us sometime originated in September. So let's go back to here. So this is kind of a finish up here again on some of the information we've talked about. We're at pretty close to 50 minutes right now, and so again, we're only asking for input into the PACE system for enough information for us to accurately disclose the cost and obviously minimize any tolerance violations. So the information that gets input into there by you guys, again, it needs to be very comprehensive, very complete, with all the parties involved with the transaction, so we make sure that we're able to collaborate effectively back with you, maybe even the processor on your end, the escrow agent, maybe even the escrow agent's assistant. So the more folks that we are aware of, the easier this is going to be for all of us in the long run. So here's the question that's been asked a couple times. We're going to provide to the consumer the loan estimate, the service providers list. We should have that up to you guys very quickly for you to complete for us. We've got the home loan toolkit. Again, it's the form that's replacing the settlement costs in you, and we will be sending out the intent to proceed. Yeah, again, those new submission forms and everything that are pertinent. One of the things that we had to go through, of course, is that all the forms that still made reference to GFE and some of the forms that are now going away that are part of the integrated disclosures, we had to make sure that all that verbiage has been erased from certain forms. So we're going to have, again, both those forms available for your use. And those, again, the new ones should be updated and on our website Monday morning. And that's what we just talked about there. So again, just a summary, kind of the steps involved here as we finish up here. Again, for the loan estimate, again, the PACE tool allows us collaboration between you guys out there and ODVA. The final approval rests with us. Once we have issued the final loan estimate to the consumer, we will disable any further editing. You guys will be able to view and then print the stored document with the read-only access. Again, for your compliance files, you have access to keep those disclosures for the compliance files. With the closing disclosure, again, very much kind of a repeat, again, more involvement by the settlement agent. So again, I make an additional request to make sure that information gets input in the contacts right at day one. Again, the closing disclosure, the PACE system allows for us to have that collaboration. We're the ones that have the final approval on that. Once it is issued, we will disable it so there's no further changes allowed. And again, you guys are always able to view and print those stored disclosures and then keep a copy for your own file. Okay? So the live site is really up and available right now. This is the email address to access that. We've spent some time in the last couple weeks, some of our staff getting you guys already some contact information into the site. Your username will be your email address. That's the way we've got it set up. The password is basically, we're setting up a new email address. It's called PACE Reset at odva.state.or.us. My IS team thinks that they'll have it ready for us Wednesday. Okay? So when you guys are ready to access your password, or in the future if you need a password reset, this is a dedicated email address in order for you guys to do that. I want to kind of keep this away because I know that Vonell and Kathy, our coordinators, will be accessing the disclosures and your guys' input, but I don't want them spending time on the password reset. So basically any sort of kind of a technical issues with the website, passwords, can't gain access, any sort of that stuff, really needs to inquire this particular email address here. But for questions with regards to the files themselves, okay, again, this is the information. You know Kathy. Kathy's been here listening to us, making sure I get the right information out, as well as Vonell. These are folks that you guys are very familiar with. So if it's a specific file question or submission on a specific file, these are the guys to talk to on that. If it's a technical issue with regards to submitting the loan or password reset or any of the other things that are more technical or IT in nature, please use the other email address. And so with that, let me just take one final look on questions, see if there's any other questions. I'll put you guys on hold for just a second. Okay, some of the, we just have a couple questions here remaining, and they kind of have to do with delivery of the LE and the CD. First of all, one of the questions had to do with electronic delivery, electronic signature. No, we're not able to accept an electronic signature currently. And again, ODVA will be sending out the CD and the LE to the consumer. Now, you guys will have access to that in the storage part of PACE, and you can print that out and have them sign it. But, you know, we still have to maintain that control over the delivery and make sure that we still have the proper amount of days that the consumer has it in their hands. And we're technically going to go by the mailbox rule. Can we hand deliver our initial forms we get from the system? Again, yeah, you can go ahead and print those out, hand deliver those. But we're still going to be mailing out, you know, the documents to the consumer, which includes that intent to proceed. And so with that, you know, we cannot proceed until we get that back from the consumer. And the other ODVA forms, again, the standard forms that you guys, again, on the website, there's going to be those two sets of forms. There's going to be, you know, language changes because of the TRID effective date. But the main disclosures, especially on the LE, are going to come out of ODVA. So I'm going to put you guys back on mute here for a second, see if there's any additional questions. Okay, well, that's going to conclude. Heidi, I don't have any answer to that question. I'm sorry. But at any rate, thank you guys very much. You spent an hour of your time with us. And again, I anticipate further questions as we go through this. We spent a lot of time trying to make sure to make this as effective for you guys as it is for us, and try and make it so it's as seamless as possible and efficient. But it's just not quite there yet. But we're working on it. Hopefully there'll be some additional enhancements, and we do appreciate your guys' assistance. We always want to listen to any suggestions you may have. Again, thank you for your support of our Oregon veterans. And with that, we're signing off. Thank you.